Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Thoughtful Tuesdays with the Friends of Prevention Coalition of Richmond and Bearsville Yoga. We are Thoughtful Thursdays, not Thoughtful Tuesdays. We are going to get started at 7 p.m. So as you get settled, find a comfortable space to be in. You might invite your child if you have one. You might be a parent or you might be a community member, but we are going to be discussing different ways that our students and our youth can manage stress and how you can, as adults, help them in whatever capacity you play in their lives. Just take a few moments, get settled, and we'll get started at 7. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays with the Friends of Prevention Coalition of Richmond and Bearsville Yoga. We are going to get started at 7 p.m. So if you have joined us via Facebook Live, just get comfortable, allow yourself to find a seat. If you are with youth that might like to attend as we discuss different practices that might be beneficial as they start the school year, feel free to invite them to join into the discussion. Hello, everyone. Hi, Mark. Hi, Aisha. Okay, so as people roll in, I am going to invite you all to share kind of the role that you're playing as you enter into this session. So if you are either a parent or a guardian, are you a student or a youth or young adult? Are you a community member that may work with youth, or are you both youth and parent or youth and guardian coming into this presentation together? So I just love to know who will be joining us tonight. And if you are on Facebook, I'm going to invite you to do the same thing. Just place it in the chat. If you are, once again, youth or young adult, parent or guardian, maybe a community member, or both youth and adult. Cool. Grandparent. Awesome. Okay, so welcome once again as everyone begins to join us. We'll get started at 7 or shortly after as everyone who signs up begins to join us this evening. Okay, so we're going to give it a couple of more minutes. But if you have joined us tonight, welcome. Take a moment to get settled. We're going to wait for a couple of more people to join in. If you take a look at the chat, the question as you enter in is, what role are you playing as you come into this space tonight? Are you a community member, a youth, or a parent or guardian, or maybe you are both youth and adult? So just letting us know, letting me know who is here. If you have any questions in particular as well tonight, feel free to either pop them in the chat or the Q&A. Mm. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, Welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays, a partnership with the Friends of Prevention Coalition and Bare Soul Yoga and Wellness, both located right here in Richmond, Virginia. I am Ashley Williams, and I will be leading and guiding this session on this evening. If you're familiar and you've been attending for the past couple of Thursdays, welcome back. If you're not familiar, welcome for the first time. And this series was created really as a space for us to learn mindfulness techniques for stress management, disease prevention, and really our overall well-being. So our mind, our body, and our spirits. And so as we do that tonight, I want to get started with just a short introduction of myself so you know who you are practicing with. And so before we even really get into that space, I'm first going to invite you to get comfortable wherever you are. Find a seat, find a space, a comfortable way to be in your body. I'll be using a PowerPoint on this evening. That might be something that's helpful for you, and you may choose just to really listen. If you want to have something to take notes, feel free to do it, but otherwise, it's really just experiential. The video will be uploaded after this session, and so you'll have an opportunity to go back to it if you need to. You'll also have my contact information. But as we come into this space and before we really engage, I mention this each and every time, but we are all coming into the space with different experiences, different things going on in our lives, different roles that we're playing. And so let's do what I call a mindful moment. And that's really just a short check-in. And so tonight's mindful morning moment is a bit different from the one that we've done, just to encourage a bit more movement in our body as we do that while we're seated. So notice that the movement is optional as well. So wherever you are, just begin to come into a comfortable seated position. Allow yourself to sit in a space that feels right for your physical body right now. And you might choose to close your eyes or allow yourself to find a focal point, so something to look at. As you do that, I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth and empty out, making an audible sound. We're going to do that 2 more times. Take a deep breath in. Open, empty it out. Let's take 1 more deep breath in. And empty it out. And as you return to your natural breath, notice your in-breath, notice your out-breath. As you take this moment coming into this space, simply scan your physical body. So your legs, your mid body, your upper body, your hands. You might even roll the wrist if that feels right for you. Maybe you roll the shoulders or the neck. Simply check in with your physical body, giving it a bit of movement, noticing what feels relaxed or tight or tense. And then as you find stillness, I'm going to invite you to bring awareness to your mind. Notice the quality of your thoughts. Notice, what am I thinking? If it helps, you might even take your hand and place it right on the top of the forehead. Just kind of notice without any type of judgment. And then when you're ready, you can begin to now move your awareness to your heart. If your hand was on your head, you might release it and place it right at the center of your chest. and ask, how am I feeling? How am I arriving emotionally right now? You might name a feeling of happiness or sadness or joy or pain or excitement or exhaustion. There's so many different feelings that we can feel at this moment. Simply check in and ask what is present for you. And then when you're ready, come back to your breath. You can release the hand. We're going to take another full breath in through the nose. And then a slow breath out. And then as you just allow your in breath to enter and your out breath to release, simply ask that question, based on what I just experienced and explored, how can I best support myself? What do I need during this time? Maybe what do I need in the remainder of my night or the remainder of my week? And then when you're ready, gently begin to open your eyes and enter back into the space. Your body may need some movement, so you might shift the body to support yourself. You may also choose to change your position. You may choose to deepen your breath. There are so many things based on how you're feeling right now. So like I said, welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays. Based on how you are feeling, that's our first mindfulness practice of this evening. And so I am going to invite you all to, if you are in the Zoom room with us, I'd like you to share kind of how are you today? So a mindful moment is simply a moment to check in. So asking that question, how do you feel? Some of those words can be excited or optimistic or calm or happy. And so as we come into this space where we are going to learn tools to work with youth and young adults and students, notice first that it's up to us to be able to model and to embody the practices as we show up to engage our students and our youth with these practices. So as we join in together, I'm going to invite you to ask yourself that question. How do you feel? If you feel like sharing, place it in the chat. And then another question that I'm interested, if you haven't answered already, is how are you entering into this space as a parent, a youth? Are you a community member? And so I see that we have some parents in this space. I see that we have some community members, some grandparents, people that work with youth. Nice. So welcome to tonight. And so a little introduction, like I said, my name's Ashley Williams, and I'm a mindfulness educator and a yoga therapist. I'm the owner of a space called Bare Soul Yoga, and our whole mission is to really encourage health and wellness through the tools of yoga and mindfulness within our communities. Our whole practice is to also make these practices accessible from a financial means, accessible from a location and proximity, accessibility from making sure that we're in spaces where we can meet our community where they are. And so tonight, as I come into this space, I'll be introducing practices that we tend to utilize in schools with our students, with our teachers, with our school administrators, as well as with our parents. And what they're called are mindful-based strategies. And mindfulness-based strategies are really just tools that we like to use to help ourselves to become more self-regulated. So how do we manage our emotions, as well as ways to manage stress? Currently, we are in this climate where we have so many things that are taking place in our world. We're also going into our schools in many of our cases in a virtual and very new way. And so I can imagine with it being stressful for parents to figuring out how we are actually going to operate and how are we going to make sure our students are engaged. Our students are also, and our youth are also experiencing this stress too. So as we get started tonight, I want to bring in the idea and bring in the concept that the same way that we as adults experience stress, our students do as well. So most of our youth and most youth tend to face mental and emotional challenges similar to that we do. from trauma to bullying to our peer relationships. Also, just from not having the tools to manage transitions from housing, manage transitions from schools, manage transitions from friendships that are new and old, transitions from one grade level to the next. So there's so many different things that could potentially cause stress with our youth, not to even mention the things that take place in our community and their experience of witnessing it, both violent, conscious or unconscious things. So youth mental health awareness is something that we really need to put to the forefront of our minds, and how can we actually provide tools to assist our students and youth to manage these experiences. So my role in this world is that mindfulness is a tool that allows us to train and experience our situations in ways that helps us manage stress. And so it's a way that we can help process situations and allow ourselves to be more resilient. So we ask that question, what is my experience and how can I handle it and manage it? Not avoid it or resist it, but how can I actually understand what's going on? So as we come into tonight, we're going to introduce ways that people and our students can use mindfulness tools in maybe high pressure experiences or expectations that maybe come from teachers or parents or community members. How can they use these mindfulness tools to handle and manage their emotional experiences, whether they're breakups or arguments with their friends or other stressful social situations? Another thing is, how can we just allow our students to actually normalize both helpful and unhelpful sensations, both pleasant and unpleasant sensations, especially when we think about symptoms of depression or anxiety or other mood disorders like bipolar disorder. Things that are actually common. And so when we come into this space tonight, I'm going to teach 3 simple tools that we can use. First, aiming at the breath. So as we get started, I want you to know that the tools that we are using, yes, we're bringing them into work with our students. So we're going to experience them. And when I say students or when I say youth, know that these skills can be used from age 3 and all the way up. And so the more that you use them even as an adult in your interactions with students and youth, that means you can use them all the time. So these specific practices that we're going to use tonight are going to be for adolescents. However, notice how you'll be able to tailor them for youth of all ages. So I saw a question about that, so I just wanted to make sure that we noted that. Okay, so let's get started. Our first question, and if you've been here and you've been with us for the past couple of weeks, I just want to re-enter what the definition of mindfulness is. So mindfulness is the self-regulation of attention with an attitude of curiosity, openness, and acceptance. So what does that really mean, and how would we even describe this to our youth? It basically means that we're paying attention to what's happening inside of us and around us. And we're doing that with a curious mind, we're doing it with kindness, and we're doing it in a way that's focused. So if you're ever explaining mindfulness to your youth, it's paying attention to what's happening inside of you and what's happening around you. And that's the being present. It means that we're noticing our feelings, we're noticing our thoughts, we're noticing our emotions, we're noticing our words that we're using. And just think about why that would be beneficial in our youth and with our own personal lives. The benefits of our mindfulness practice is that it helps us practice focusing our attention. One quote that I really enjoy and that I tend to use all the time comes from my alma mater, UVA. And it's, we tell our kids to pay attention and to be kind. However, we never show them how to pay attention and to be kind. So this practice is a practice that we can engage our youth in to teach them how to focus their attention. It's like an exercise of a muscle. The more we practice it, the more we're able to actually engage with it. We also want to use our mindfulness practice to enhance our awareness. So enhance our ability to understand what's going on within us, our mind, our body, our heart, our breath, our emotions in our world. We also use our mindfulness practice to gain clarity, to understand a situation, to understand ourselves. We do it to reduce stress, regulate our emotions, both pleasant and unpleasant, and also increase acceptance of situations. So tonight we're going to access 3 practices like I mentioned, and that's going to be our breath. And so the title of this session tonight is called Just Breathe. And the benefits of the breath are vital. So our breath is what has allowed us to be here now. It's given us life. It is our vital energy. And the beautiful thing about the breath is that if you notice when you're angry or upset, the breath may shift, the heart rate might increase, the body might get warm. And so our breath is one of the direct vehicles to what we call our parasympathetic nervous system. And our parasympathetic nervous system is our system of rest and digest. It's our system of finding balance. And so when we access our breath, we give ourselves an opportunity to release from our stress response and come into this state of balance. So when we come into this practice of our breath, and we introduce it to our students or introduce it to our youth, we can allow them to understand the benefits of their breath. Some other benefits encourages, it means it reduces our stress levels in our body, it lowers our heart rate, it increases relaxation, improves our concentration, which is beautiful practice for school, especially when we're going into this virtual world where there's going to be so many factors that have an opportunity to distract our students from actually being present in their classroom since they're not physically there. And then it also helps increase our energy. So our first practice and our first breath today is going to be what we call our stress breath. The thing that we are going to do with these breathing practices is I'm going to invite you to engage in the practice. So you have this opportunity to experience it and then have an opportunity to even guide your student or your child or your youth in this practice. So the benefits of this stress breath is that it improves digestion, it increases our body temperature, it helps with throat problems, which is more on the health physical side of things. It helps us with focus, reduces stress, and clears the mind. So think about when we tell our youth or our child to push the reset button or be calm or come back to center or take a seat or take a moment. This is our breath that really helps to enhance that. And it does that through the sound of the breath and the sensation of the breath. So begin to find a comfortable seated position. If you'd like, you might even stand up if you feel that that might be an experience you would engage your child, your students, or whatever youth in your life. So when you are ready, take one hand and place it right on top of the belly. And just begin to notice the rise and the fall of your breath. Notice that it's there. And so as you do that, I'm going to invite you into what we call the stress breath. And you're going to allow yourself to take a deep breath in through the nose, fill the belly all the way up. Constrict the back of the throat, keep the lips sealed, exhale. So you're going to hear that sound, inhale, belly expands, expand the body. Allow the lips to seal, exhale. Do that a few more times. Inhale through the nose, belly expands. Focus on the breath, lips sealed, and let the breath fall through the back of the throat, making somewhat of a humming sound. Do that a few more times. Deep breath in. Lips sealed, constrict the throat, exhale. Find this breath a few more times. Slow, steady, mindful breath in. Inhale. Lips sealed, exhale. Continuing this practice for about 3 or 4 breaths. You might even draw awareness to the sound of the breath that might sound like an ocean or a wave or a deep hum. Feel the vibration of the breath. Let the breath calm and settle. And then after you finish this next breath, just going to invite you to release your hand if it's on your abdomen. And then if your eyes were closed or you found a focal point, just notice the sensations of your breath. Notice how your body feels right now. And so the stress breath is a breath that allows us just to come to the present moment through the vehicle of sound, through the vehicle of breath, and the vehicle of sensation through our bodies. And that practice that we just did was about 1.5 minutes. Notice that you can do it for even a shorter period of time, or maybe you landed at 3 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on the age of your youth. This practice is beneficial to do when there are high emotional experience taking place. It's also really good to do at the beginning of a new experience. So maybe that's the beginning of the day, the beginning of the class if you are a teacher, the beginning of a conversation if you are with your student or your child. And the best way to insert that practice is doing it with them. You might even use words or phrases like, let's take a breath. You may do it standing with each other or sitting down with each other. But just bringing awareness to the inhale, the exhale, and the sound of the breath. So the next breath that we are going to bring awareness to is a series of breath called the balloon breath. And the practice of the balloon breath is beneficial to help expand the full capacity of breath. Many times when we are in stressful situations, we tend to shorten our breath and our breath gets choppy or gets choppy and or short. Our breath tends to be present in our chest. And so our practice with the balloon breath is to extend our capacity. So we're going to do this and we're going to add some movement since our bodies tend to be a really good vehicle to engage youth with. So when you're ready, either once again, choose to stand or to sit down. And you're going to take your hand once again and you're going to place it right on top of the abdomen, right on top of the belly. And when you are ready, close the eyes or find a grounding focal point. If you're working with younger kids, you might say, find one object to look at. You might also even give them something to place on their belly like a stuffed animal. So you could do this lying down too. When you are ready, close your eyes and we'll go into this experience of the balloon breath. Take a deep breath in through the nose, expand the belly like a balloon. Exhale, draw the belly in. We're going to inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Inhale, expand the belly, blow it up like a balloon. Exhale, release. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in. And empty it out. We're going to continue. Release the hands. Inhale, roll the shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, empty them down. Let the shoulders relax. Inhale, lift them up. Exhale, drop them down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale. So we're going to expand our balloon. Inhale, reach the hands all the way up. Exhale, bring the arms like you're hugging yourself, cross the shoulders, chin draws in. Inhale, open up. Exhale, give yourself a hug, chin draws in. Inhale, expand big like a balloon. Fill the body up. Reach through the fingers. Exhale. Give yourself a hug. We'll do one more inhale. Reach the hands all the way up. Exhale, bring the arms in. One last hug while we're here. Notice that sensation of touch. Notice the hug, the comfort. Take a deep breath in through your nose. This time, letting go breath. Exhale, ha, out the mouth. When you are ready, you can release the hands. Notice where your body feels sensation. Notice how it feels. Notice your breath. So that's our balloon breath. And that is a perfect practice, especially if your youth or your child's energy is really high. And it gives them this opportunity to slow their breath down. It gives them opportunity to move their body if there's any stress taking place in their shoulders or in their arms. Sometimes if you think about the natural response when we are experiencing anger or stress, we might clench or we might tighten. We might actually even hit. So allow yourself to reprogram where that energy is spent by offering very guided, gentle movement. So if anybody has any questions about those first two practices, feel free to just place them in the Q&A, whether you're on Facebook or you're in our meeting room, and I'll be happy to answer them. And then last but not least, when it comes to our breathing practices, I'm going to share what we call as the balance breath, also known as the pre-test breath. And so whether you are working with younger students that might not actually be in the test space, this balance breath is a breath that's good for balancing our left side of our body and our right side of our body. It is beneficial for allowing the left side of our brain and the left hemisphere of our brain and the right hemisphere of our brain to balance. It gives us this opportunity to understand that the masculine and the very logical left side of our brain and the creative and the feminine right side of our brain begin to find this equal space. So when we do it, it also heightens our concentration because we begin to find a space of balance. It also gives us a focal point that begins to calm our mind down. And then it's great for relaxation and stress reduction, which most of our mindfulness practices are. Our perfect time to potentially engage in what we call this balance breath is at the beginning of situations that might cause some challenge or discomfort, or maybe just a situation that needs heightened concentration. And so that's why we call it a pre-test breath. It's great to do before quizzes or assignments. It's great to do before situations where we need to have focus on a conversation. It's also really good to do, and we encourage our students to do before they have conversations with their friends, especially if the conversations are going to be challenging and they're discussing a challenging topic. So any time where there needs to be a heightened increased level of concentration or balance, this is the perfect breath to do. So when you are ready, once again, find a comfortable seat. I'm going to invite you to make the L shape with your hand. And what we'll do is we are going to guide breath in through both of our nostrils at different times. So it's going to feel a bit different. I'm sure that if mindfulness is not in your everyday practice, or even the practice of yoga is not in your everyday practice, this is going to be different. So take some time with it. Take your hand in the shape of an L. And when you're ready, take a deep breath in through both nostrils. Open the mouth, empty it out. This time, inhale through both nostrils. Lips sealed, exhale through the nose. And third time, inhale through the nose. Take the index finger, close the left nostril, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right nostril. Close the right nostril, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale through the right. Do this nice and slowly. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Relax any tension in the shoulders. Inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale through the right. Slow and steady, friends. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. And then when you're ready, just continue 2 more times on both sides. And then after you're finished, drop the hands, open your eyes, and take a deep breath in. Open your mouth, empty it out. So that is our pre-test breath. Notice how you feel. Maybe even bring to mind the youth or the student that you would be working with. Notice how they might feel. And as we go through these practices, I want to answer this question that came. And the question is, how can you make it fun, right? So that's a really good question. You make it fun first with your tone of voice. So many times we think mindfulness needs to be relaxed and calm, which that's our energy, like our presence and our mood and our emotion should be fairly grounded and or relaxed. However, in the most heightened situations, or when we have students or we have youth running around, whether it's a stressful situation or it's just the natural environment, it's maybe challenging to be in that space. So then we channel our energy to how to be grounded and using our voice. You might even use objects as well. So many of these breaths, depending on your age, you might use stuffed animals. And so a good way to use stuffed animals with the breath is to invite the students or your youth to either lie down or to find a seat and then place the stuffed animal right on top of their belly. And then give them the opportunity to focus on the belly, move up and down with the stuffed animal. There's also a lot of practices that you use very fun scripts with. So using words that enlighten and elevate fun. So really inviting them to do it, like, let's do this together, or inviting them to find different stories. And then also having and engaging them in conversations like, how do you feel? It's really all about your excitement in just engaging into the practice with them. Other ways that we might do these practices is you might do the mindful breath by taking a walk around your neighborhood and asking them, what are some things that you can see? Can you breathe deeply here? Let me hear the sound of your breath. So they're just bringing awareness to their experience and in doing it in a way that's relatable to them. If you're working with older adults or if older youth, a good practice is just allowing it to be really real. And so what I mean by that is you might play a beat in the background of introducing breath to them. If you're at home, you might be finding time to just do it together once or twice a week and engaging it with some type of other activity. So finding ways to really incorporate it into your day with them. Another good practice that we are going to end with this evening is the practice of using mindfulness with words. And so using a list of empowering words and or allowing yourself to integrate these statements with breathing practices. So maybe you would say on your inhale, recite I am, and then on your exhale, calm. Right? Or maybe in those moments of silence, you invite these words like, I am kind to myself and others. So beginning to use words that can help shift our students' experience from a stressful, maybe disempowered situation to a very empowering statement. Research states that negative self-talk and unhelpful situations that relate to self-esteem begin in elementary school. And so as adults, really think about what your first natural reaction is when you share information with yourself. Like, how do you talk to yourself? Is it 50% helpful, 50% unhelpful? But what's your natural reaction? And then just think about what that means for our youth. So beginning to engage them with these practices of using words that empower them. Other ones are, I listen to my body. I am peaceful in my mind, body, and heart. You might think that these words tend to be something that might be normal or intentional. However, research also shows that even in our school environments or our home environments, the most positive and helpful situations tend to come after the negative or the authoritative statements. So allowing ourselves to increase mindset and positive overall well-being by introducing words in a more normal way. And perfect ways to begin to engage with those, once again, are during mindful moments or check-ins, maybe during your breathing practices. You may work with your students and write them down and post them in different spaces. You may place them in note cards and have them around your house. You may invite them to share them in group discussion with you, whether it's in conversation at the dinner table, or it's in conversation before they leave for school or start their school day in the morning, or maybe it's asking for a statement before they go to bed. Our practice of mindfulness can be done very formally with breathing and then taking moments to use these words, but the biggest practice is how can we integrate it into our everyday life in ways that are relevant, in ways that are fun, in ways that actually make sense. And so the next question is how do we even get our students to do this, or how do we get our youth engaged in this? And so it really starts with you. So taking your own time to take moments of stillness, taking your own time to focus on your breath and to practice them, and then taking your own time to find words of mindful language, which sometimes may be called affirmations. So this becomes very natural in its modeling as you build a relationship with your students. So right now, using this mindful practice is a way that we begin to shift how we manage experiences. And the more that we believe in these practices and the more that we engage with them, the more we're able to encourage our students or youth around us. So if you have any other questions, feel free once again to place them in the chat. Otherwise, those are 3 tools and tips that I really encourage you to practice for yourself and to engage youth in. And so once again, that is we did the stress breath. We did the balloon breath with movement. We did the balance breath with alternate nostril breathing, also known as our pre-test breath. And then we also did using powerful words of affirmation. So if you have any questions, feel free to place them in there. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you for joining tonight for tonight's Thoughtful Thursdays in partnership with the Friends of Prevention Coalition of Richmond and Bare Soul Yoga. We are holding these series every second and fourth Thursday of the month. And so our next one is going to be on September 10th at 7 p.m. And so we're going to continue to discuss stress management for youth. And then it's also National Self-Care Month. And so there's also probably going to be some conversation of what it means to encourage our youth to take care of themselves and what that means. Like, how do we have those conversations with them? So all young people, parents, and other adults are encouraged to participate. You can register on Friends of Prevention of Richmond Coalition, Friends of Prevention Coalition of Richmond Eventbrite page to register for free, and you can tune in Facebook Live or Zoom. So I hope that you all continue to stay safe, continue to stay engaged, and continue to stay well during this time in our current climate and culture, and through all the shifts that we're experiencing both as youth and young adults. So if you're in our Zoom room, take a look at the chat. That's the Eventbrite to register for our next session. Until then, stay safe, continue to take care of yourself, and continue to be well. Peace, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your evening.